It's the start of the weekend. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good what up, posse near and far, north, south, east, west, whichever part of the world you are all in my posse. Whether you want to be or not, you're in my posse. Get it together. Good Friday morning, everybody. It is March 19th, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in to Good Morning Grenada. Those of you on the GBN, Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website, www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11, and 20. Good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9, Hot 98.5, 98.7, and the viewers on the Party Grenada and Go To Fet Facebook pages and Party Grenada's website. Bless up your whole self. It's a good day to have a good day always. Thank you so much for tuning in to Good Morning Grenada. To the folks joining us across the Caribbean, whichever part of the region you are, a spicy Grenadian 473 morning to each and every one of you. And to the rest of the world tuning into the program this morning, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope you will have a good day, are having a good day, have had a good day. Good morning, everybody. I know y'all can see the weekend coming over the Himalayas. It's right there. So let me see how I can take you into the weekend on an upbeat note. Let's do this. It's time for this morning's Word of the Day. This morning's word of the day is nations or nations. Nations. It's spelled N-E-S-C-I-E-N-C-E. Nations. It's a noun which means lack of knowledge or ignorance. Nations. The word nations comes straight from late Latin, a noun formed from the stem of the word, the present participle, which means to be ignorant or not to know. Something similar happened in English in terms of its etymology. The adverb not being a reduced form of not, a compound of the negative adverb ne and the noun wit, which means thing or right. Naissance entered English in the first half of the 17th century. Now, this morning's word of the day is nations. It's spelled N-E-S-C-I-E-N-C-E. It's a noun which means lack of knowledge or ignorance. Examples of the use of the word. Verily, geology might be termed man's nations of creation, wherein he best learns how little he can know. Another example of the use of the word, the unexpected vantage point can help induce a beneficial nescience that disarms us of existing tools and systems of thinking. N-E-S-C-I-E-N-C-E, that spells this morning's word of the day, nations, a noun which means lack of knowledge or ignorance. So instead of saying somebody dunce, I don't know if we like to use a word, instead of saying somebody dunce, we can say nations. You're exhibiting nations? That doesn't sound like a right sentence, but you get the idea. Instead of calling people stupidity and saying they dunce, we can fancy it up. Lack of knowledge or ignorance, nations. N-E-S-C-I-E-N-C-E. Nations. All right, as you go about your Friday, getting into the weekend, let's see what's this morning's thought of the day. Forget all the bad things you've encountered this week and have a great weekend. Forget all the bad things you've encountered this week and have a great weekend. A lot of people use the weekend to rest and relax and spend quality time with the family, with yourself. Whatever you choose to do this weekend, don't let the happenings of this week wear you down. Don't let it bog you down. Just forget about it and have yourself a good weekend, a restful weekend, a peaceful weekend, an enjoyable weekend. And that's what I wish for each and every one of you, that you can have yourself a great weekend. Forget all the bad things you've encountered this week and have a great weekend. All right, let's see what's celebrated today. Today we give glory. We say hail all the certified nurses across the world. It is Certified Nurses Day. Every March 19th, Certified Nurses Day celebrates the certified nurses who impact lives every day. Certified nurses dedicate their entire careers to helping others and often work long, hard hours. The day honors and recognizes them and their significant achievements. Their advanced skills require continuing education, recertification, and continued knowledge of ever-changing technology. Certified nurses balance clinical needs and patient care, helping patients meet their healthcare goals in complex and challenging times, makes a certified nurse's commitment even more valuable. So we say special Good Friday morning to all the certified nurses across the world. I'm going to zone in and say a special good morning to the certified nurses across the state of Grenada. A blessed Friday morning to each and every one of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Not everybody can do your job, including Blossom right here. So you need to know, as the late Levi Benoit used to say, know where your role begins and where it ends. Blossom's role has nothing to do with that. I can't do this kind of work. And bless up all yourself. You see this thing about giving injection and yep, it's right there. I put a stop to it one time, same time. So I know it takes a lot of tenacity, a lot of strength, a lot of courage to be a nurse, certified nurses, all of you in the medical field. Bless up your whole self today. Keep doing what you're doing. You play a critical role in what happens, not just in Grenada, but around the world. And this morning, we give you a special salute on Certified Nurses Day. Can't be doing them kind of thing there. Nope. All right, it's time to get ready for the morning edition of news. It's now 15 minutes to 7. Just as a heads up to those of you who are unaware, gas price gone up again. Lord. Listen, I know what y'all saying. Every month it goes up by a little bit, a little chunks, maybe not more than $1. But once it crosses $15, vehicle owners and drivers, we start to panic. We start to catch heart failure. Gas price has gone up from $14.58 to $15.38 by about 80 cents. It sounds like a little bit, but it's a lot when you have to fill up a tank. The thing coconius in the dance. Since yesterday it's on my chest. And I know I'm not the only driver. Since yesterday it's on we chest. But it's all right. Let's hope for the best. All right, let's go. It's time for the morning edition of news for those of you on radio and those of you on our visual platforms. It's time for a repeat of last evening's newscast. This is Good Morning Grenada on a fantastic Friday. We'll be right back.
Grenada was the last of 3 countries in the Caribbean without a confirmed case of COVID-19 until Sunday, March 22, 2020, when health officials confirmed the first COVID-19 case. As the pandemic continues across the world, leaving millions dead and many more infected, the medical doctor who made the first announcement in Grenada believes while there's still a long way to go, Grenada has made positive strides.
Next week, Monday, marks a significant milestone for Grenada as the date when the country's first COVID-19 case was publicly confirmed. The country's first case, patient 0, was announced as a 50-year-old female who returned from the United Kingdom on March 16th and subsequently became sick on March 17th and was officially diagnosed on March 21st.
We were in our importation and isolation and community transmission phase for quite a while. We have now gotten our official imported case, and as such, we are in full gear for community transmission, or in other words, to avoid community transmission.
During the past year, since the pandemic reached Grenada, the country has recorded 154 positive cases, of which 76 were imported. 151 recovered, with 2 active cases. The country recorded 1 COVID-related death, that of a male individual. Now that we enter into 1 year since the pandemic reached Grenada, the question is asked, is Grenada in a better position coping with COVID-19? Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin, says one thing is certain. Grenada is in a better position information-wise.
As the year has passed, I feel more confident now as we view the future. We don't know the future, but we do know that the amount of information that we have thus far is sufficient enough to keep us safe. Later now we see the introduction of the vaccine, which is a ray of hope. We're beginning to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I really do hope that the light will continue to shine and improve as we go forward.
Dr. Martin admits that when the WHO's announcement came about the pandemic, it was a scary period for everyone, including himself. It was a time when health officials had to learn as they go, trying to make the necessary adjustments.
From my own personal standpoint, when the World Health Organization indicated that the COVID is now a fake or a public health emergency of international significance, where I sat at that time was a very, very painful, stressful period because there was so much we did not know about the COVID, and we had to learn on the job as we speak. And I think that level of fear of the unknown, drove fear through everybody's mind and hearts and so on.
1 year later, vaccines have been developed to guard against the virus. Grenada received its first batch of 6,000 AstraZeneca vaccines and began its vaccination rollout in February. The second batch of 17,000 arrived on island 2 weeks ago, while the process continues. Health officials say the turnout has been positive. However, some remain skeptical. The most recent positive cases were recorded last weekend. 2 people remain in self-isolation, with another 204 people in quarantine facilities. Christelina John, GBN News.
Grenada has been issued the lowest travel health advisory by the Center for Disease Control. This comes as the center also issued the highest travel warning for 21 of the Caribbean islands and territories. Trelana Charles has the details.
The Center for Disease Control is one of the major operating components of the American Department of Health and Human Services and is recognized as the lead federal agency for protecting the health and safety of people, both at home and abroad. Grenada is now one in 7 countries in the world to achieve the lowest COVID-19 advisory, Level 1. After the CDC lifted a worldwide Level 4 travel advisory, which took effect on March 19th, 2020, Grenada was ranked Level 3, high level of COVID-19, in August of 2020, which indicated that travelers should avoid all non-essential travel to the island. The rank was moved to Level 2, moderate level of COVID-19, earlier this year. The rank is now at Level 1, low level of COVID-19, while 21 other Caribbean countries and territories, including the neighboring islands of St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, are ranked Level 4, the highest risk group by the CDC, which continues to advise against all non-essential travel to more than 200 other locations around the globe. Besides Grenada, the other 6 Caribbean countries and territories at Level 1, lowest risk, are Anguilla, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Saba, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Eustatius. The lowest Level 1 indicates that all travelers should wear a mask, avoid crowds, stay at least 6 feet from people who are not traveling with you, wash your hands often or use hand sanitizer, and watch your health for signs of illness. There are currently 2 active cases on island, both imported and in quarantine. Trelana Charles, GBN News.
A year of unexpected developments that severely impacted lives and livelihoods. Many citizens stranded in countries not called their homes, thousands of jobs lost, and a reliant tourism industry badly broken, and no answers to the question, how much longer will this pandemic reign? Welcome and thank you to our guest tonight, Dr. Clarice Modest-Kerwin, Minister for Tourism.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be here with you and with your medium and also the public of Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique.
It's a pleasure to have you. Madam Minister, how much does the CDC Level 1 rating that we currently have now help Grenada and in particular the tourism industry to move forward?
When I learned about the CDC rating, it's a rating of Level 1. I immediately felt very excited. And the very question you asked me, it raised hopes in my mind that this is the kind of positivity and the positive messages that we would like to hear going out about Grenada, because we do know that people want to travel, but they also want to travel with some reassurance that the destination they're going to is a safe destination. And I believe that a recognized entity, a recognized body as the CDC would be well listened to. Grenada was rated among 7 other Caribbean islands as number 1. However, I still note that the CDC's warning said that you still have to comply with the certain protocols that have been internationally established. For example, wearing a face mask when you're in crowd, avoiding crowds as far as possible, social distancing, hand washing, etc. So it is not a signal that everyone could do as they please, but it is a signal for Grenada that what we have done as a government and the team of the Ministry of Health and other personnel who have worked in the fight of COVID, I believe that it justifies the measures we would have taken. We know that persons were not always happy with it, but I think now they're seeing the results when we look at all of the levels outlined, the countries outlined by the CDC, and the advisory that is being given for travelers. I think it, to some extent, vindicates us. As you may know, and Grenadians may know, we haven't been having many flights in Grenada. As a matter of fact, a comparison between 2019 and 2020 showed a drop of over 50% of our flights, while in 2019 we were over 12,000. In 2020, we just barely 6,000 plus. And therefore, we need an injection. Our number of visitors to our shores dropped dramatically, over 72%. And that does not augur well for the industry, neither for the revenues of the Grenada Maurice Bishop International Airport, nor for all of the accommodations and the other sectors that would normally have benefited, like the tour operators, the vendors, farmers, fishermen, etc. So we need that injection, and every assessment that projects us favorably does help us.
And I quite agree. Now, with international countries considering a COVID-19 vaccine travel passport, is this a possibility for Grenada?
Certainly, this is a possibility for Grenada. I am well aware that that is being given serious consideration. But of course, as I mentioned before, some of what I said would segue quite nicely into this, the response to this question that you have asked. There would have to be, of course, certain guidelines for our visitors, not just once you're vaccinated and you've had the 2 vaccines and it's past a certain period, you can walk in. There would be other protocols that we have to observe, having observed what CDC has said, and also the fact that there are other issues with the virus, like variants and so on, the uncertainty as to whether these present vaccines cover the variants that is being seen in other countries. So while it would not be a straightforward pathway to recovery, but yes, it is a definite positive move in the right direction as we vaccinate more of our Grenadians, as we move towards the 80, 85%, 100%. It gives us more of a security.
Well, thank you so much for that response. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, Dr. Clarice Medes-Kerwin, Minister for Tourism. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine as well. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Whatever happened to the common cold as we know it? Are people afraid to sneeze, cough, or blow their noses in public out of fear of being judged for having COVID-19? With the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic, this strain of the virus appears to have gone into isolation. Earlier, today's GBN's Christina John sought some answers. GBN Health comes to you compliments Gittins Healthcare.
What happened since the onset of COVID-19 pandemic as it relates to the common cold? Did you notice? Random Grenadians were asked, what is the last time you remember having the flu? Here are some feedbacks from the public.
Yeah, let me say about 6 months ago. Yeah, that was the last time I had the cold. Whenever you have large gathering like Carnival or Christmas, they used to have this cold going around, and a lot of people catch that cold, including me. But since after the COVID coming, the cold kind of gets scarce because we don't have so much a large gathering as before.
Yeah, in a couple of months now I have the cold. It's use my little vitamin C and I suck a lot of oranges. And well, I'm a fisherman, so I'm in the sea regular, so all of that part of it.
School is one place where transmission of contagious viruses and diseases are prevalent. The common cold is one such virus that passes from one child to another through interactions. However, teacher at the Grand Mall Preschool, Miss Alexander, says she too has noticed that the students have not been down with the cold in a long time.
Funny, it's amazing that, since COVID, you don't see them come in with the cold or have any runny nose or so. So I don't know, I'm surprised. It's a good feeling because when they have the cold, they have to stay at home. But now that they don't have the cold, they come to school when they're supposed to.
Speaking to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin, he said that the mode of transmission for influenza or flu is similar to that of COVID-19. They have seen a drastic reduction.
From our epidemiological surveillance for the last few months, during the typical cold season or the virus season, we saw a significant drop in the diagnosis of upper respiratory tract infection, fevers of unknown origin, even to a certain extent gastroenteritis.
One may consider it a positive side to COVID-19. Here's how Dr. Martin rationalizes his findings.
And I think the reason for that is because the wearing of masks is quite significant. It prevents droplets from getting aerosolized and getting droplets to infect other people. The washing of hands decreases the transmission rate from bacteria and viruses. And also the kind of limited movements, limited or physical distances, as we said. Even before COVID, we were saying to people, if you have a flu or a cold, stay at home, don't go anywhere. But COVID has actually forced us to do it. And I think that is the benefit and the knock-on effect that we have seen as a result of COVID.
He thanked the populace for entrusting them with their efforts in keeping the country safe. Christina John, GBN News.
Grenada is moving towards having the first climate-smart city in the region. However, that has been hindered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the impediment to such a goal, climate change has gone ahead and is wreaking havoc on the polar ice caps due to rising temperatures. Some startling statistics are now displaying the reality of climate change. Jared Joseph has that story.
Building climate resilience has been preached and promoted vehemently, more so over the last decade. Grenada is a signatory to the Paris Accord, which came into being in 2015, but questions and concerns are still being raised as to what countries have actually done in that regard. One of the pioneers of the Paris Agreement, Dr. James Fletcher, recently shared some alarming news that will have dire consequences for small island states such as Grenada. He says the polar ice caps are melting faster than ever before.
The temperature increases we're seeing in the North Pole, the Arctic Circle, are actually higher than what we're seeing globally. So last year, for example, I'm sure that this is a joke that you get universally that when you say that you're banishing someone, you say that you send them to Siberia, because Siberia is known to have the harshest, coldest conditions on the planet. In June last year, a town in Siberia recorded a temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, let that sink in. We have never, at least not in my living history, have we seen 100 degrees Fahrenheit in any one of our Caribbean islands.
The consultant says in the Antarctic in 2020, record temperatures were witnessed.
Those are places where you should not be able to venture, even with full clothing and everything else. So the temperature at our poles is warming alarmingly. And as a result, we have now sea level rise taking place at a level that's even greater than we thought. In 2019, the data showed that the ice melting in Greenland was what we thought would be a worst-case scenario by the year 2070. So it means we're 50 years ahead of schedule for what the models had predicted would be sea level rise and ice warming.
Dr. Fletcher says low-lying, climate-vulnerable countries will see severe consequences.
Our economic and social juggler is near the coast. All of our economic infrastructure is near the coast. Our power plants, our roads, our schools, our hospitals, everything that is of economic significance to us is located near the coast in the Caribbean. So consider what impact a 1 meter sea level rise, which is the best case scenario that we're looking at, what that will mean for St. Kitts, for St. Lucia, for Anguilla, for Antigua and Barbados, which are very low lying.
He says disruptions to the water cycle are being experienced, stronger hurricanes and more acidic oceans, which are a threat to the seafood industry. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
The Ministry of Health is breathing a sigh of relief as the number of dengue cases on the island begins to drop. This, according to health officials, is a positive sign, which indicates that people are doing what is necessary to eradicate the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the vector. During the first 2 months of 2021, health officials became alarmed as a spike in cases was recorded. For January alone, the country recorded 16 cases, spiking even higher in February. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Francis Martin, says 2020, however, has recorded much more cases.
Apart from the decrease in upper respiratory tract infections and fevers of unknown origin, we also start noticing a decrease in dengue cases. I'm quite happy to learn from our last surveillance report that we're beginning to see a decrease in that aspect. And I think, again, not just that we have the weather pattern to help us with that, but I think people took action. People, followed what we asked them to do, keep their surroundings clean, keep the breathing sites as low as possible.
Now, as the month of April approaches, which is often quite a windy period, the PS warns people to take precautions.
My recommendation and my advice to people as we go into the Easter season, we expect lots of wind. And with those wind, we expect dust to be coming across the Atlantic Ocean. We expect lots of stimulants in the air. We encourage persons who are asthmatic and those who have high allergy symptoms to be careful around that season of high wind. I know it's this time when kids get out there, be careful as well in terms of flying with the kites and that kind of things.
In other news, charges against 2 men accused of the death of Francis Williams of Beaton St. David in 2018 have been reduced from murder to manslaughter. Charged are Davis Gulston, 37 years, an auto body repairman, and Johnny Perriman, 25 years, a construction worker, both of Beaton St. David. They appeared at the St. George's Magistrate Court on Wednesday, March 28, 2018, where the charge of non-capital murder was read to them. The 2 men have been remanded to Her Majesty's prisons. Attorney at law Anselm Clouden, who represents David Gulston, told the media about the lesser charge for his client.
There's a case from Beaton, as you all, in 2018, the 24th of March 2018, one David Gulston and Johnny Perriman were both charged with the murder of Francis Williams. After 3.5 weeks of trial, I represented David Gulston. The jury returned a verdict yesterday, My learned friend, Mrs. Greenwich, represented the Crown. The jury returned a verdict yesterday, not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter. His sentencing is to take place on the 22nd of June, 2021.
And now we turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media. Trelawna Charles has been looking around the platforms.
This is Social Buzz, where we shine a light on the thoughts and concerns of our online audience. During yesterday's post-cabinet briefing, Minister for Health, Nicholas Steele, when asked about the possibility of the COVID-19 vaccine becoming mandatory in Grenada, said this.
And the same discussion can push forward with respect to supermarkets, banks, and as St. Vincent is saying as well, buses. We're all saying the same thing. Those of us who are involved in frontline work, which is medical or hospitality, should be vaccinated. Otherwise, we are putting ourselves and the nation at an unreasonable risk.
Tonight, we listen to the opinions of our online and listening audience as they discuss the minister's statement.
Grenadians need to stop it. They want carnival. They don't want to wear masks. They want things back to the way it was, and they are not prepared to do what is needed. I think it should be mandatory for those serving the public. If you don't want to take the vaccine, find another job. When they're ready to travel and have to pay for it, they will also be complaining too.
It's not that he is promulgating compulsory or mandatory taking of the vaccine, but he's just in his own way trying to tell you, you have to arm yourself.
The Ministry of Health needs to be more informing and encouraging, have meetings with these various workers and give accurate information and encouragement. The arrogance won't work. Some of the ministers need to talk to the people with more love. They also have to ensure that they have the appropriate laws in place with the Constitution before making it mandatory.
If you're doing your own private work at your home and you are not mixing with the public, then this shouldn't be mandatory to you because you are doing your part. But if you are selling bread, cake, juice, and all them things on the side of the road, you must take it. I would make it mandatory to those type of people.
Wondering the amount of Chinese they bring here if they vaccinate them already. Let him take all for himself.
So nobody could force nobody to take this virus injection. No, that must be made above the country. Look at it, fundamental right and freedom.
No one should be forced to take any vaccine. The Minister of Health and the government should keep all for themselves. As for me, I will not be taking it, mandatory or not. It's my decision.
Why Dr. Mitchell and Mr. Steele say to every house must have a Bible, or to every house must go to church, or to every bus driver must have a New Testament sitting in front of the bus? No.
That's it for tonight's Social Buzz. If you would like to have your thoughts and concerns shared, be sure to comment on GBN's Facebook page.
From the thought process to the visual impact, it's time to take a peek through the GBN ISA lens.
Is tonight's ISA a vegetable or a person? What do you think? Our ISA reporter submitted this photograph of a cassava root which bears the shape of a human being. Notice anything out of the ordinary? Snap a photo or video and send it to us via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms.
In a world already leaning on the side of technology, the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the transition into the digital world with the elimination of some in-person services. This comes with security concerns created by an increase in cyber crimes. Ariza Credit Union is looking to boost its security for members by upgrading its electronic cards.
Since the start of the pandemic over a year ago, personal interactions have been limited across the board in almost all sectors. The introduction of social distancing has made it difficult to successfully complete in-person transactions, resulting in most encounters being rerouted to online. Lucia Livingston-Andel, Chief Executive Officer at the Arise Credit Union, said that as time progresses and with the direction the world is headed, she foresees the demand for digital services will increase.
It's going, and we have seen very clearly from the COVID experience the need to have access at a touch of a button, access without physical presence, but to be able to have access. And I think my own view is that we are not going to go back to the way we were pre-COVID in terms of some of the services, some of the contact services over the counter, physical contact, but there'll be more and more demand for electronic and digital services.
Livingston-Andel said in response to the demand for digital services and the generated increase in cyber criminal activity, the credit union has decided to introduce added security features to its customers' electronic cards to help combat the issue.
We upgraded the card to a new EMV chip card, which means there are added security features in the card. These features require you to put in a security pin whenever you're transacting, and also it encourages you not just when you're physically transacting with a card present transaction, but also when you are doing an online distant transaction that doesn't need you to have a card physically present, but it requires you to also input a pin. So we are rolling out that pilot right now. Well, we have completed the pilot and we are converting our cards. So we're changing all of the cards in a very ordered, scheduled manner.
The CEO says the credit union is going even further in the name of card security by providing an additional accessory to accompany the upgraded cards.
Now we have, in that new card, we're going to be asking you to put it into a pouch. Now that pouch allows you, it is what is called a radio frequency identification device pouch that prevents contact from another device that might be close by and that might be able to pick up any of the information on your card. So when you have your card, please ensure that it's always kept within the pouch.
Candidate Kellam Bob has been named as a 2021 Edward Boucher Scholar. He will be inducted into the Boucher Honor Society during the annual Edward Boucher National Diversity Conference, which takes place at Yale University on April 8th and 9th, 2021. Bob is included in the roster of 71 other minority and immigrant PhD candidates from the United States who were awarded. Bob, a long-standing journalist, is currently on course to complete a PhD in Health and Development Communication at Howard University this year. His research centers on studying the health impacts of climate change in climate justice communities and communication for development in the Global South. The Edward Boucher Honor Society recognizes outstanding scholarly achievements and promotes excellence and diversity in doctoral education and the professorate.
I'm Benjamin Etienne. My name is Christian Thomas.
My name is Christian James.
My position is center forward, play central midfield, and I play right back for the Grenada men's senior team. I would like to urge every Grenadian to support the Grenada national team on 30th of March
in our first home game against USVI in the World Cup qualifiers. They are not able to join us at the Grenada National Stadium,
but you can watch our live match on Flow Pay-Per-View, channels 1000, 1001. Support Team Grenada.
Support Team Grenada. 473.
gasoline and diesel. Available only at Rubis stations.
Do you know what time it is? You guessed right, it's detox time again. At Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Purchase our 7-day cleansing pack for only $500. Includes everything you need for a complete total body cleanse. Cleanse your blood, kidney, liver, and colon. This cleanse will help you lighten up and get rid of the excess. Also available are our special product detox combo pack for only $100. Try our single detox products starting from $40. Check us out now. Belmont St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area, or call us on 231-6642, 449-7753, or 418-7115. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. Detox, your way to health.
Sissons truly cares about your paint job. We give you the results you wish for. Sissons understands your needs and responds to it.
Get the finish you want with quality that is unmatched. Nothing compares to Sissons paint.
No matter your need, at home or on that industrial project,
Sissons has the perfect color solution for you.
Sissons paints for good looks that last. Available at all major hardware retailers island-wide.
We are all essential in the fight against COVID-19.
At Courts, we're doing our part and we encourage you to stay at home, stay safe and shop online at www.shopcourts.com.
For added convenience, our Courts online customers will receive free delivery and get up to 20% off televisions, appliances, and homewares. Plus, if you shop with Ready Finance, you will pay nothing down for 60 days. Now, you can stay home, shop online, and save.
Remember, do the essential. Wear a mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing, stop the spread.
Running low on groceries? Why not visit realvalueiga.com and experience our new online shopping platform. Place your order, then go out and enjoy your day to spend more time with friends and family. Delivery available within select locations or in-store pickup available. Sounds simple, right? It is. Stress less, live more with Real Value IGA online store, where good food begins.
Once upon a time, we shopped at Wonderland, then Neverland. But we're all grown up now and no longer believe in fairy tales. So now we just shop at Shoes R Us. At Shoes R Us, we stock the latest in shoes, tops, and jeans for the fashion-conscious lady. We also carry colognes and much, much more. And for the modern trendy male, we have the latest brand-name shoes and sneakers, Converse, Reebok, Nike, K-Swiss, Puma, and much more. So check us out at our two convenient locations, Melville Street in St. George and Ben Jones Street in Granville. At Shoes R Us, we say, come shop with us.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. 21 minutes after 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you who need to get to work for 8, you have less than 40 minutes to get there on time. You should already be out the door. I'm not even telling you should be home putting on your shoes. You should be out the door. It's Friday, so expect a little bit more traffic on the outside. So set up all yourself correct and get to work on time. All right, all you hear the song playing? That's right. It's time to enter into the showroom, and I have a veteran Calypsonian, joining me as my guest this morning. The man himself, Elwin McQuilkin, aka Black Wizard, is in the showroom this morning, here to tell us about his career, his long career in the business that spans over 50 years. Morning, Wizard Wago.
Good morning, I'm fine, and good morning to all the viewers and listeners.
Thank you so much. Happy to have you with us this morning in the showroom to talk about your career. Maybe we can learn some things about Wizard that we don't know, so let's get into it. I remember it was in 2019, if my memory serves me correctly, we celebrated 50 years of Black Wizard's music. Was 2019?
Sure, yes.
Oh, the memory serving right, man. So a career that spans 50 years, half of a century. Let's go back, if you can go back that far, to when you started out in Calypso, when you started out in the business. How did you end up being one of the Calypsonians to look forward to, and 52 years later you're still relevant? How did you start in the business?
It's always a difficult question to answer because maybe since I was born, I was singing. But let's go back to from the time I was about 3 years old. I started making little rhymes and so. I remember that at Christmas time, that one, I would have been about 3 or 4, and I can't remember the exact reason, but my mother cut down all the sorrel that she planted for Christmas. And I made a rhyme about that. I couldn't really understand why she cut down the sorrel. It was just after Hurricane Janet. So maybe I thought there would be no Christmas that year. I'm not sure what the reason was, or maybe I thought that they shouldn't really cut down the whole sorrel tree or the shrub. But I said, Ava, we call them mother Ava, and if you say Ava cut down the sorrel, no Christmas. You know what I'm saying? So I don't remember if I told her I was saying that there would be no Christmas because of the hurricane, which was in September, or because she cut down the sorrel. I realized, and then there would be no Christmas. But that was one of my first little rhymes. But I continued to make rhymes. In school you make rhymes on each other. In school, and then I grew up in a village that. In those days, you had what they call a string band, the chantwells and so, and they would come to the junction prior to Carnival, like from January, because those days Carnival was in February or March. So they would come to the junction, the village, and almost nightly. But there's this string band or the violin there or the jab, and they would come and rehearse the songs for Carnival. And I would pick up these songs like a sponge would pick up water, and I still remember some of them today, after all these years. And my uncle was a chantwell, a lead singer in a string band. So I grew up around that kind of influence, and maybe something in me that really gravitated towards those influences. And to add to that, in those days, when somebody had a record player, which we called a pickup in those days, everybody would gather around that house to listen to music, especially, Sparrow, a man called Mr. Branford David, he loved Sparrow, so he had a lot of Sparrow records and so. So every day I would go and listen to Sparrow and listen to records and people like Melody and so. So I really grew up in an environment where there was a lot of singing and so, especially around Carnival time and Christmas time and so. And but in a serious way, I started to sing Calypso in 1969 at our youth club meetings. We had a club in Ladi called Shadows Youth Club, and when Carnival time comes around, we have what we call Calypso tents, and people make up their own songs. So I started writing seriously from that time, and but the guys felt that I was good enough to enter the Calypso tent. So that's how I started. I went to St. George's and hooked up with the late Melody, and the rest is history.
The name that you have now, your sobriquet Black Wizard, I remember when we were celebrating the 50 years and you told me of how you came up with that name. For the people who don't know, tell us how you ended up being the Black Wizard.
Well, I had a number of names before that. I used to call myself a studiante when I started to sing in the clubhouse because those days I was at school still, and I used to be a good Spanish student, so I called myself El Estudiante in the student. But then I changed to Baron, the Black Baron. I used to like Black Stallion, so he called himself Black Stallion, so I called myself Black Baron. But when I went to Trinidad, as we all know, there was a Baron in Trinidad, so William Monroe, who was my executive producer, and Art Decoto was the arranger, and so we were in the studio recording my first album, and we were looking for a name already for me to change of name. So Art Decoto was the one who gave me the name. Art Decoto said, well, call him Black Wizard because he's singing in the Kingdom of the Wizards. So my first calypso tent in Trinidad was in the Kingdom of the Wizards. So Art Decoto said, well, call him Black Wizard because he's singing in the Wizard. So that's how the name came about.
And you fell in love with it one time, same time, or you just went with it because?
Well, I went through it. I wasn't sure that I liked it at that point in time because I really liked my previous name. But after a time, it just becomes, I'm synonymous with who I am.
Take me through the competition, your early days in competition, to going Queen's Park. When Queen's Park was the whole vibe, going into those competitions, what was your mindset? What were you telling yourself? How did you prepare for those events and getting ready to take the stage?
All right, well, it's on so many different occasions, so I'd have to try to give you a common answer. But all right, so you wake up in the morning. Usually, my main man from in the 1980s was the late Brian Griffith. So I met him in Trinidad as a matter of fact. So I will tell you about preparations maybe in the 80s and so because those were the most tumultuous days, competitive days.
Right.
And he was my main man. So he's the man we would sit down and come up with whatever presentation we think we should come up with. We'd brainstorm and come up with a presentation, and then he would take it from there and get in touch with all the different people that we need, and we'll do a rehearsal with the people we would use on stage, and you put everything in place, and the day of the competition itself, and wake up in the morning, you don't do much. You might go down to the Queen's Park and look at the stage and take a feel of the stage and decide, well, where you're going to start to sing from, where you're going to move to, and all that, By that time, you'd have, those days with Laddie Duncan, you'd be doing the song system. So in the morning, you'll be there with the song system. So you have to feel the stage because to know where you do what. Especially your presentation. If, for instance, when we use the horse, we have to decide where you're going to bring the horse from, what time you're going to bring the horse. And you're going to have a backup plan and all that. In case the horse didn't want to go on the stage, we had a backup plan. You also have to look at it. You want to feel the stage to see if there be any dead areas. That is with the sound system. That is why, for instance, I believe that there should be a dress rehearsal on the morning of the competition. So you can feel the stage and know where there are dead areas. What do I mean by dead areas? There are areas on the stage you mightn't be able to hear yourself. So you got to know that you don't go there because you could sing out of key if you're not hearing yourself. And that happens a lot of time. Those days, for instance, you never had no stage mix. So you have to listen very well. So after the morning of testing down at the Queen's Park, you go home and you rest yourself. Just rest until that you go down very early in the park again. You might go down there for about 6 o'clock in the afternoon and relax yourself. And you have your team, because the backstage is like, like when there's a boxing match. You see what happens? What happens when the guys who attend to the boxers and so, you see what they do. So you have men doing that too in the backstage, you know. A lot of people don't know what goes on backstage, you know. A lot of things goes on backstage in a competition because you have people dressing you and fixing you up and all that kind of thing. But then sometimes you have supporters coming in the backstage too and giving you advice and all that. But you don't need those advice at a point in time because they put pressure on you already. But you know your fans, so you can't show any sort of you can't show that you're not interested in what they're telling you. But you don't want to be stressed at that point in time. You want to be relaxed. And but when the bell rings, when it's time to go on stage, regardless of who you are, you have butterflies.
That's what I was going to ask. How easy is it for you to take the stage? Does it come naturally? Do you still get butterflies, or do you have a little bit of stage fright? How is it for Wizard on stage? Is that your comfort zone?
Yeah, you see, you have butterflies until they reach on stage and you start. Because the reason for the butterflies mean is that you're wondering if you're going to start right, if the band going to play right, you know, if you're going to hear yourself and all those kind of things. So we're worried about starting. The most important is to start. Once you start and you're on the stage, well, the stage is your home, really.
Even today?
Well, yeah, even Sparrow I remember singing with Sparrow and we went to Skinner Park. Skinner Park in Trinidad, they had a space to sing. And I knew he had butterflies.
Sparrow have butterflies and Wizard have too.
Because I remember, I don't know if you're familiar with the South, down in South in Trinidad, people come with flags, you know.
Yeah, man.
And they have different color flags.
Big flags.
And the different color flags. If you're singing nonsense, they put up a certain color flag. And if you're singing good, they put up a different flag. So you know definitely how you're going down. So you get frightened. Because you know definitely you might end up being booed. So, but there are some ladies there, so Sparrow, even before Sparrow goes on stage, I remember him saying that, I'm a Sparrow, you know, you're trying to psych up your own self, I'm a Sparrow.
Working for him, you never know. How do you come up with the ideas for your songs? Because you're one of the Calypsonians that people have grown to expect some hard-hitting lyrics. No matter which government inside, which one outside, you say what you have to say and you come hard with it. How do you come up with the lyrics, your ideas for the songs, and what? How hard you're going to hit them?
No, I don't make songs for competition. Really, make songs. You see, if you listen to one of my songs, I say the Calypsonian is a sociologist, a philosopher, etc., etc. You know, so once you look at it from that perspective, I analyze society. I'm more analyst really. I like to observe and analyze the society. That's where I get my inspiration from life. And sometimes people say things, and I say, yes, that is a case. So, I'll better use the word ideas and not topic. I don't write from topic, I write from ideas. So, for instance, somebody say, the man fighting everybody, boy. What's wrong with that man? So from the time the person said that, I say, I'm fighting Calypsonians, I'm fighting the press, I'm fighting the unions, I'm fighting with this, you understand? So once you have a start, you have your ideas, then you have to get a storyline then. Then you get a storyline, and that storyline will be based on your knowledge base. Knowledge base is very important because, for instance, when I sing about Claudius, for instance, because I know in history that you are a Roman emperor called Claudius. So I relate that to the whole question of fighting. Emperors in the past, they fought. Gladiators and so. So I was able to link those two things, his name, Claudius, and the Roman emperor Claudius, and which has to do with fighting. So then my storyline will be based around that. So most of the times is what happens in the society, what people say. Well, as a matter of fact, as a writer, you have to use your 5 senses.
Do you have a favorite song over the years? First of all, how many songs do you recall off the top of your head that Wizard has done over his 52-year career? And do you have, if not one favorite, let's say 3, 5 favorites how much ever favorites you have?
Well, I would have about, let's say about 110 songs. Some not recorded, some song as yet. But I'm glad you say 5 favorites instead of 1 because it's already a difficult question to answer. But I would have to, there are some that might be other people's favorite, but a song I like very much. Let me name the prominent ones first, like O Grenada, When the Carnival Over, IMF, Soca Feelings. That's 4, and if I have to give you another one, but I like the one about Majority Rule. That's 5. And, to give you another one, most people wouldn't recognize a song called DJ Kenny. We don't need no nurse, no doctor. We don't even need theater. No order, no respirator. A studio will do us better. Music we will play in the hospitals and clinics all day. The surgeon's knife, that taking life. All them tablets have side effects. So jam them, DJ Kenny. Jam them in casualty. Jam them night and day. Don't care what the people say, etc., etc. That's one of my favorites because of the double, if you want to call it double meaning, right. I like double meanings. Mm-hmm.
All right, I like that. So if you had the opportunity to, what should I call it? Not remix, but do over a song, maybe something that you can update, whether it's lyrically or instrumentally. If you had an opportunity to do over one of your songs, for lack of a better word, would you? And which one, if you would?
Maybe When the Carnival Over.
Why?
Because the issues, I need to put some up-to-date issues in it. And especially, for instance, I could say When the Corona over.
I like that one. I can get on board with that one. Over the years, you just mentioned you've been on stage with people like Sparrow. In terms of collaborations and working with artists, whether here in Grenada or abroad, who are some of the artists that you've worked with that you think you've learned and grown from as a Calypsonian? And is there anybody that you want to work with, whether it's tomorrow, please a lot, or next year, please a lot?
Well, I worked with almost all the great Calypsonians, especially, even in my first year in Trinidad, I had people like Chocolate, who's one of my favorite Calypsonians, Black Stallion, you had Super Blue, Gypsy, a good friend of mine. The whole work, crazy all of them. But King Short Shirt, that's one of my favorite Calypsonians, King Short Shirt. I would like to, as a matter of fact, when I had my 50th anniversary, he was supposed to have been on the show, but I think he was a bit too expensive, so we couldn't afford him. But we were planning to do a song together. That would have been a nice, I always admire him. And if I have the opportunity to do a song, I would like to do a song with him, it depends on stage. I would like to do a song with Chocolates on stage. The one about, I like Chocolates, a song about you did great in our culture and heritage. That's my kind of thing. I like to talk about culture and heritage and all that. So I would like to do, I wouldn't spoil Sparrow, I don't know if he's in a position, but if I had the opportunity to do something with Sparrow, like let's say for instance the IMF, we could do a verse each, So but in terms of collaboration, maybe some of the local artists too, the younger artists, we could do something and do something differently. The old and mix the old school and the new school and see what we get out of it.
Anybody comes to mind? Any younger artist comes to mind?
I think I like Vaughn. As a young artist. I think he's a very intelligent young man, very creative writer. I think he has a great future. I think we did a little extempo shoot all the time and it was good. So I think he or maybe any one of them, any one of the manufacturer, and it depends on how we manage the whole thing.
Okay, let me see what I can work out for you. Yes, you swear say I have to pull it, but we're speaking with Black Wizard in the showroom. We're going to take a quick break and come back and continue the discussion. This is Good Morning Grenada on Classic GBN Hot 98.
It's a great concern.
Do you know what time it is? You guessed right, it's detox time again. At Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Purchase our 7-day cleansing pack for only $500. Includes everything you need for a complete total body cleanse. Cleanse your blood, kidney, liver, and colon. This cleanse will help you lighten up and get rid of the excess. Also available are our special product detox combo pack for only $100. Try our single detox products starting from $40. Check us out now. Belmont St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area, or call us on 231-6642, 449-7753, or 418-7115. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. Detox, your way to health.
We understand it can be hard getting from the bus terminal to the Kirani James Athletic Stadium just to get your fresh fruits and veggies. But guess what? Your troubles are over. Enjoy a free bus shuttle from the bus terminal to the temporary market at the Kirani James Stadium
every Friday and Saturday until the end of March.
Let us buy local, eat local, and support our local market vendors.
How going on, boy?
Hey, good old things.
Hey, easy.
Yeah.
Boy, in line, boy. Your house looking a real good day.
Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service.
Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy.
Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex, or give them a call, 440-1015 or 440-1016. Or check out their website, hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
The song of the man himself, Black Wizard. That's right, he's in the showroom this morning. We're looking back at his career that spans 52 years. That's older than some of us have been alive, and he's still very much relevant. Wizard, big up your whole self in shooting. If you can, not if you can, but there has been a request, suggestion for some of the veterans to come back in competition. Is this something that you've thought about? And how much you've thought about it? Is it a possibility to see Wizard back on competition stage the match granite?
Well, never say never, but depends on how it's organized. You need to reorganize the whole competition. Maybe if you want veterans to come back in competition, for instance, you could do a different competition. You can have a King of Kings, for instance. That maybe this year should be a good year to do that virtually. So you give you breathe some new life in the Calypso, in the Calypso competition, because if you look at the demands over the past few years, there's been really on a downward trend in terms of audience support and even the standard of Calypso. So we need to set some standard by maybe having a King of Kings. And we could do it virtually, or you could still have people in the stadium. If we don't have any community spread, for instance, you could limit the number of people in the stadium and space them out. Because we have a big enough stadium. So, first of all, if you want to see the veterans, I think that's the best way to go. But you do maybe an old song and a new song. You know, so that's a way to start to bring back veterans really, and have attractive prizes and so. And that would bring back interest in the calypso. And that would set certain standards for the younger calypsonians to aspire to.
You mentioned the standards of calypso nowadays. What do you think is missing or something that could be done different to bring it back to what you're hoping would be top-class calypso's the Mardi Gras show?
Well, first of all, we need better writers. Something has to be done about the writing of calypso, maybe workshops and so. What I think that the people who really need workshops don't attend workshops, writing workshops. So we need to improve on the writing skills. Even though some of it comes naturally, but you can teach people to write. You can teach people to improve on the writing, just like in school. You teach people to write an essay or a poem or so. So people can be taught to write to a certain extent. So we need workshops and so. So we have better songs. We have good singers. People sing well, but workshop also in performance and so. Other people come on stage and don't know what to do really. You know, even the presentation is not really making sense. You know, so the show becomes boring. You know, you have to have a show that people would come and participate in and enjoy. You know, but sometimes in the presentation you have 5 minutes of talking before they even sing. You know, so all these things we got to look at. And then the promotion of the shows again, they don't really promote the shows. Long time the shows promote themselves because you have the songs on the radio and so on. That's another problem. You don't hear calypsos on the radio. So that people hear soca. And all of the people who like calypso, they think that that soca is calypso. When I say soca is calypso, I mean that's the thing you hear on the Mardi Gras night. So people would criticize and say, well, you're singing nonsense because you don't hear the kind of lyrics they want to hear in the soca. So, and these people probably don't go to the tents. So they don't hear the real calypso. So the radio stations and so have a role to play. They have to play calypsos, but nowadays, well, people like, we have more younger people on the radio these days, so they go for the soca. And there was a time when radio stations, they program the songs, but nowadays everybody play what they want. So obviously, the young people will play soca. So we have to have policies. As a matter of fact, we should have a radio station for Carnival. When Carnival comes along, Spice Mass Corporation should have a station to give exposure to everybody. To the calypso, the steel band, the soca, mass, everybody. You know, even though the station is for 3 months. So people know this is a Carnival station. You know, and then the other station will be forced to do likewise.
I like that idea. Promote our local, because when you leave it up to the radio stations, they play what they want really. What and who they want. But if you have I like that idea. There's a question on the WhatsApp. Somebody's asking, can you recall what you would consider the best de Mardi Gras ever held in Grenada? And why?
That's a big one. Well, there are so many, I mean, especially when it comes down to the sort of rivalry days between Jamban, myself, and Inspector to a certain extent. I don't want to say 1994 because that's when I won.
Well, if it's 94, it's 94.
But I think that one was one of the best one in terms of the competitiveness of the show. You know, because Inspector was really good too. You know, he came second. So everybody was firing, you know, so that's one of the better ones. But it's difficult to really pinpoint. You know, I had so many good ones, especially in the late 80s and 90s and the early 90s, you know, so it's kind of difficult. But those days of the rivalry between Jambo and myself and Inspector, 89 could have been a good one, was a good one too. You know, so as to why is really the competitiveness of the show and the participation of the people, you know, and I prefer the shows in the old Queen's Park, because those days, there's a different vibes. It have a different vibes those days. I don't know the stadium too big or maybe it swallows up the whole atmosphere, a different atmosphere. I prefer the old Queen's Park days. That's the best answer I could give, really.
Do you recall what you sang in 94 and what Specky sang when you won in 94 and Specky came second?
I sung Master and Master and Soca Instruction. Specky sang No Place Sweeter Than Home. And remember Space. Yeah, the big spacecraft on stage.
I remember with the big spacesuit like he come out in Mars. I remember that one. Somebody on YouTube is asking a question I wanted to ask. Do you plan on singing any other type of music besides calypso? The person says, I would like to see him make a gospel music.
Well, I mean, gospel, I don't mind doing that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. But you see how we define the lyrics, for instance, could be gospel, but the music could be calypso still. Because you have, but when some people talk about gospel, they talk about European music, or American music. But you have what they call gospel calypso nowadays. So for me, gospel is more the message than the music, But some religious people don't like when you sing gospel with calypso music, because I think Charles had a problem. In our church, But if you go to I've been to a crusade recently. On the Adventist crusade. I go all the time. As a matter of fact, the pastor was a calypsonian from St. Vincent, and obviously you could see the calypso still in him, because he loved to sing and dance and up-tempo songs. So we're talking gospel, we're not necessarily talking the music. The emphasis has to be on the lyrics, the gospel lyrics. So I have no problem doing that, but I wouldn't promise you that I would sing in a European style or American style.
Okay, what about reggae?
Well, reggae is easy music to sing because the beat is sort of easy beat to sing on. So I wouldn't mind doing that. The closest I came to that was a song called something. But if you want to, Raga Soca is the answer. Really, I don't know if you ever heard it before. That's the closest.
Yeah, man, I know Raga Soca.
Yeah.
I like that question on Facebook. Somebody on Facebook says, Ajamo calls himself the music man. Inspector calls himself the veteran. What do you call yourself? I like that question.
Call myself the lyrics man.
Okay, I could get on it. I could agree. I could agree on that. What's next for you? What are your plans, whether musically, personally, professionally? What's next for Elwin McQuilkin, the Black Wizard?
Politics. Politics is next. I'm into politics. I'm a executive member of the National Democratic Congress, and that's my main focus right now. So, well, you asked the question, so I'm going to tell you as it is. My main focus is to save Grenada from the NNP.
If that's your plans, then so be it. So whatever plans you have, we just wanted to be aware of it. So is there a way that your years in Calypso has helped you politically? Do they work hand in hand? Does the fame and the recognition you've gotten from Calypso, has it helped you politically?
Well, I've run for political office before. Even though it's not something that I would say is impossible or not likely, but what I could tell you is that people respect me for my work. So, and my work is work. My work has always been political. My colleges have always been political, primarily, because politics is not just about running for election. Politics is about the issues of the people. So I've been always political in my songs. So people know where I stand, they know my levels, and they respect me for that. So I've been enjoying popularity in Grenada for quite a while, and so it'll be easy for me to relate to people if I decide to run for office, because people know me already, and they know what I stand for, they know my levels, everything. So I think it'll be an advantage.
So if given the opportunity, you're willing to contest, I believe it's in the South, you reside currently, so if anything, that's what...
I'm back in the country. I'm in St. Andrews Southwest.
Well, where was all this time? I really thought you were still in the South. But if given the opportunity or if asked, you are willing to contest?
At this stage of my life, I'll do anything for Grenada to save the future generation.
Okay. Well,
I'm not going to live for more than that.
All right.
I have children.
So you're done in music? Should I say completely? You're done with music. Your focus now is on politics. You ain't done?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not finished with music, but because, as a matter of fact, I have enough songs. You know, so if I'm called to sing in any show, I have enough songs to choose from. And if I need to, I'm always writing songs. So if I need to sing a new song, I can sing it. You know, so Calypso will always be part of me. I'll never give up on Calypso.
I like to hear that. Don't give up on it at all. 52 years and a lifetime more to go in Calypso. Wizard, I'm looking forward to what else you have for us, whether it's Calypsocally. Is that a word? I like Calypsocally or politically. Bless up your whole self.
You're very good at calling words.
Yeah, man. Fine. I should start the whole dictionary.
Yeah, COVID, yes.
You understand? COVID has just gone, and now look at it socially coming through. Any final thoughts that you want to share with us this morning as we close off?
Well, especially at this point in time, despite the fact that we don't have any community spread in COVID-19, people still would advise them to still take the necessary precautions, follow the protocols and so. And whatever happens for Carnival, whatever shows they put on, whether it's virtual or not, people still support the culture. And hopefully that we'll be back to normal pretty soon. And again, people will enjoy Calypso as they're accustomed to. So let me thank everybody for listening again. And I'm always a patriotic Grenadian. I see myself as a patriotic Grenadian. That is why I'm in Grenada. I could have been somewhere else, but I want to be part of the solution to the problems of Grenada. I want to save Grenada for future generations.
Wizard, thank you so much for being our guest in the showroom this morning. Appreciate it. Continue doing what you're doing. Bless up your whole self. Have a good day and a good weekend.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Former Calypso monarch Elwin McQuilkin, the Black Wizard, we thank him so much for passing through the showroom. And thank you, our viewers and listeners, for tuning in. We now get ready to join the BBC for the 8 a.m. newscast. Have yourselves a safe and productive Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.